Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Today we're back here with PhantomStrider, and today, well, time to see some weird merchandise from the Spongebob world, because we got cursed and weirdest, well, Spongebob merchandise, as they say. These are basically the merchandise you just wonder, how the hell did they manage to get this approved on the shelves? So, let's just see the weirdest of the Spongebob merch, I guess. Be sure to like, subscribe for more, hope you enjoy. Let's just see how weird these get.
Howdy. You know, a lot of merchandise seems to be going through a creepy trend, where things that look deeply unattractive and disturbing have this new ironic audience.
Weirdly awesome.
And SpongeBob seems to be no exception to this trend. He may be kid-friendly most of the time, but even he's got his share of weird and bizarre merchandise. So, let's check out the weirdest SpongeBob merchandise. Let's start with SpongeBob Skull Pants. Oh my, Spongy has seen better days. This was produced by Super 7 as one of the SpongeBob Ultimate action figures. Here we can see if we scroll down, most of their SpongeBob action figures look pretty standard. But then we get to Skull Pants and it's like all hell broke loose. In the box we can get one of 4 Skull Pants designs, including Blue Ghost, Skeleton Suit, Grey Skull, and a mystery version. And of course one of his designs has his fabled Splinter, because what better way to commemorate one of the worst episodes in the SpongeBob series than when he tried to pull his Splinter out with his teeth and somehow ripped down his entire non-existent bone structure. These boxes are called reaction figures, and I think it's an interesting idea. Given my first reaction when I saw this thing, I get how people's reactions to these action figures would be interesting. They're made of standard injected plastic, and I could see them being a fun gift. And if you really do like this SpongeBob skull look, you could even get a box of them. But from what I've seen online, reactions to Skullbob weren't exactly all positive. For example, on Reddit, DD Delight said,
"This is disappointing. They could have made other characters like Plankton, Mr. Krabs, or Mrs. Puff. Or they could have made an homage to Band Geeks. It's a nice looking figure, but no one likes this episode."
Yeah, no one likes this episode, but I reckon this figurine will have its fans. In fact, I reckon around 2 more people will own this figurine within a week of me posting this video.
Only 2?
Yeah, nowadays I'm more realistic, hon.
Okay, fine, stay.
And next up we have the Spongebob Pop-Tarts. Kellogg's has made available these Spongebob Pop-Tarts basically every time a new Spongebob movie is released. Arr, it's known as a sea berry flavor. So a variation of the classic strawberry Pop-Tart?
I think I'm gonna go on water.
Each Pop-Tart is sprinkled with either pictogram artwork of SpongeBob's pineapple, his iconic tie, and of course his spatula, or artwork of characters like SpongeBob and Sandy. But you know what a Pop-Tart is. Let's see how they actually taste. Cerealistly tried them.
The sea berry flavour tastes at most 5% different to classic strawberry Pop-Tarts. They bring the usual sweet, fruity flavour with a shy spectre of raspberry twang in the aftertaste. They feel like Vegas strawberry impersonators. 6 sandy rodent cheeks out of 10.
They suggested instead, why didn't they make a SpongeBob pineapple flavour? And yeah, that sounds way more inspired than sea berry. I mean, I'd try a pineapple Pop-Tart. Spongy would be a great excuse to bring out the pineapple under the sea flavour of Pop-Tart. I guess it'd be like wet, salty pineapple. Next we have the SpongeBob Naughty t-shirts. There's a surprising amount of these SpongeBob shirts that have silly slogans on them. And you know, I think they're awesome. But some of these are most certainly not licensed by Nickelodeon. Like, I can see them signing on to this one, but I can't see them signing on to this one. Haley on Twitter stumbled upon this strange shirt too and recommended it. This kind of thing though is very within the spirit of SpongeBob. I like how these shirts are very much aimed at adults too. I swear, whenever I look online, there's more strange SpongeBob shirts than there are people. But I am proud of my adulting shirt. My wife insisted on also buying me these.
Why?
Yeah, SpongeBob underwear is cool.
Next up, we have the...
I get it, but still, like, you gotta wonder, like, okay, how the hell did this get past the print? Just saying, like, some of these you just wonder, like, what were they thinking? Like, the ugly and proud thing, that is definitely from the show, but I'm surprised there wasn't a... Actually, was there one with Sweet Victory or something? I don't know, but I'm kind of curious what they would do with that, but no, I don't want to. Anyway, Ugly Dolls coming up.
SpongeBob
Fugglers.
Fuggler. Oh my. This one's actually been showing up at Target and Kmart's near me. And every time I walked by it, I thought, why is it so ugly? But as I mentioned earlier, that ironic ugliness seems to be an attractive toy trait for some people nowadays.
I guess everyone likes them
Back
cursed.
in my day, when I was growing up in the 90s,
Action
we wanted
Man.
toys that looked cool and pretty, not this terrifying and uncanny look.
I don't know. What about Mighty Max? Those were all the rage with us 90s kids.
Oh yeah, good point. Man, I loved those too. Alright, fine. My taste was just as strange as kids.
I liked
Yeah,
Polly
what
Pocket
kids?
and Matchbox cars. Yeah.
Anyway, according to the
sounds fun.
website, Fugglers are, quote, funny, ugly monsters that will
Funny,
ruin
ugly
your life
Fugglers.
and warm your heart with their mischief and bonkers appearance. Adopt at your own risk. And SpongeBob Fugglers
Why?
are nauseating. Ha
Hey.
They're surprisingly popular too. When I reluctantly went back to try and buy one for this video, they'd completely sold out of them within a couple of days. So, you know, clearly someone is buying these. Though, to be fair, I was
Collector's
kind
items?
of
I don't
relieved.
know.
I really didn't want this thing in my house staring at me. But hey, at least I can finally call something fugly without fear of being corrected. Not that I mind when
True.
you correct me, I'm always learning. And next up, we
Next.
have the SpongeBob Crumpets.
Crumpets?
Oh, come on.
Oh,
What
crumpets.
exactly makes them SpongeBob Crumpets?
Well, because SpongeBob is full of holes and crumpets are full of holes. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Crumpets are also typically round, but SpongeBob crumpets are square.
Well, clearly they didn't leave an impact, because these SpongeBob
Yeah.
Crumpets are so ridiculously forgotten, I could barely find a picture of them. Except from Charlie on my Twitter, who recommended them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charlie. Let's see
I
what
don't
such
know.
a charlatan thought of these SpongeBob Crumpets.
Oh,
They
douchebag.
taste better than regular crumpets because they're slightly thicker.
thicker, huh?
Yay!
And next up, we have the
Okay, that's-
SpongeBob Flip Phone.
Flip
Oh
phone?
my, this is getting really weird. In this rather novelty phone, the user turns Spongy around and dials in their number into his back. He even has an Ethernet port in his rear end. How thoughtful. Then they
wanna
simply
know.
open him up. Literally. And then they speak their phone conversation into his brain. You'll probably notice there's this weird obsession in these SpongeBob items of like pressing on SpongeBob's face and like opening him up sometimes. It's a little
Yeah.
creepy. Like, to make a
Also,
phone call,
how
we
did it
literally
work?
have to open up SpongeBob and press our face against his innards and talk into them. If that were any character but SpongeBob, it would be pretty creepy. And even being SpongeBob, it's still pretty creepy. Thanks to Brandon for recommending
Yeah, you
this one.
think?
There's definitely a weird design to it. Spongy even has this weird inside-out void face when we... Gee, I feel
Yeah,
like
can we
arresting
move on,
myself
please?
having this conversation. It all gives me ugly flashbacks to that Sideshow Bob face scene. Anyway, apparently it's based on the hamburger phone design from the 70s. And I still think hamburger phones are like the cutest thing ever. And I noticed people on Reddit enjoyed the nostalgia more than the carnage of this phone.
Yeah, even
such as a
says-
Relu Helu.
I miss hamburger phones. When I was little, I dreamt of one day having my very own banana phone too.
Well, that's a very
Yeah,
affordable
luckily
childhood
for us,
dream
I
to
don't
aspire
think we
to.
ever
I
went
know it
there.
wasn't that relevant to the conversation. I just thought it'd be really funny hearing my wife say banana phone. Next up, we have the Krabby Patty Gummies. I remember finding these at a shop. You know what that means?
I've seen one,
try
but-
it. They're basically designed like your standard trolley burger gummies, but instead they're in the theme of Krabby Patties. We can see online that the Krabby
Sorry,
Patty
but-
Plus version even came with a little SpongeBob wobbling toy prize. Anyway, let's try these. There's also a Pretty Patty version I found. I wonder if they taste any
Patties.
different. Let's start with a regular trolley burger for comparison to see if there's any difference in taste.
Well,
Now let's try the Krabby Patty version. I'm gonna call it, I reckon there's gonna be no taste difference whatsoever.
let's see.
That's actually way nicer. That's a bit sweeter, and it's got a more smooth flavor to it. It's got like a vanilla edge. I really like that better. I would give that 4.5 out of 5 Krabby Patties. That was like the best gummy burger I've ever had. Now let's try the Pretty Patty version, see if they taste any different. Oh, it's all black curranty. That is lovely. It's got that strong kind of sweet black currant smell to it. I give that maybe 2.5 out of 5 patties. That
The
actually
smell
didn't
good,
taste as
taste was
good. It didn't have nearly as much of a flavor to it. Just a tiny black currant aftertaste, and obviously a strong black currant smell to it. Well, I stand corrected. These are actually better than the trolley version. And next we have
So
the
that comes to
II
weird.
SpongeBob Face Uno. I call it Face Uno because that's essentially what it is. According to the instructions,
When SpongeBob's involved, everything gets wackier.
this one was recommended by Deshelle,
each
who
their
had it
own.
when they were little.
Swear.
It's similar rules to your standard Uno game, but every round you have to push SpongeBob's nose. The left eye will indicate which player will perform an action, and the right eye indicates what that action will be. Yeah, I think a lot of SpongeBob fans would enjoy this more than your standard game of Uno. Next up, we have the
Fair.
SpongeBob Car Go DVD travel game. Oh, this game sounds like such a
travel game?
terrible idea. How is a kid meant to be strapped into the back of the car while also watching a DVD while also holding game pieces on a board? That just sounds like a disaster with SpongeBob game pieces scattered all over the car floor. And I don't think DVDs are even in cars anymore. But in this case, I'm really curious what
I
an
haven't seen
actual
them.
parent
I
thought.
think my car has
Cargo
that, but I don't
fun.
know.
I was excited to receive this for a long car trip my family and I were taking. But my 10-year-old son played it for 15 minutes and was bored, though he helped my younger daughters play it for another 15 minutes. It was fun, but for a 19-hour car trip, it didn't do a whole lot for us.
Unfortunately, any DVD footage of this game is practically impossible to find now. I could not find a single piece of footage of this DVD on YouTube. So if you do have the DVD and feel like uploading the footage, you would actually be preserving SpongeBob Lost Media. And next up, we have the SpongeBob Game of Life. Have you ever played the game of life?
I think I actually remember having this back in the day.
You can remark how the game is unfair, unbalanced, and way too hard, and favors those with no physical or mental health challenges and those with extra zeros on their bank account. But no, not our real life daily lives. It's an actual board game based on kinda sorta real life, with a crap ton of stuff glossed over, obviously, in a very capitalist-focused game of life. Basically, you put your pieces on the board, get a career, maybe go to university, maybe get married, maybe have kids or cats if you like Nin and me, and finally retire to an okay house or an amazing mansion based on your luck. I mean, given no one has to sleep in their car or a tent at any time during the game, it's kind of unrealistic in 2024, sadly. But either way, my tirade aside, there's a SpongeBob version of the Game of Life game. And given SpongeBob's career choices seem to begin and end at fry cook, I'm very curious how they translate this to a board game. Can Squidward be a clarinet conductor? Could Spongy be a professional jellyfisher instead? Luckily, the Board Game Museum had a copy and tried this game out. Everyone starts the game with 500 Bikini Bottom bucks. And like the original game, you can choose to go to college and have a better chance at a higher paying career. Or you can see if you luck out with an earlier start to the game but no education. Shockingly, our host drew a card and got the career of fry cook. Realistic for SpongeBob, but a whole $700 salary as a fry cook? Okay, this game is definitely fiction. As I mentioned, in the original game, you might get kids or pets on the way through the board. In the SpongeBob version of the game, you can instead just adopt a pet, such as Wormy. Overall, while I'm not a big fan of the original Game of Life board game, I'd certainly prefer to play the SpongeBob version of the original. Next up, we have the Squeeze Me SpongeBob burping plush. It's like Tickle Me Elmo, but SpongeBob burps whenever you squeeze him. And yeah, they made another one where he expels flatulence whenever you squeeze him. Xavier told me about this plush and they commented,
I find them both amusing, especially the farting one.
Nickelodeon certainly wasn't afraid to be crass with their merchandise, was it? And next up we have...
Well, to be fair, with, Nickelodeon, they're always slamming their celebrities, especially during Kids' Choice, so wouldn't be surprised if they would go that far. And considering some episodes, yeah, they can't be gross when they want to be, I think we can agree on that front. Let me know. Anyway, next.
The SpongeBob Plug and Play TV games. You plug it in, you get some pixely second-rate SpongeBob games, and you control the game by moving SpongeBob's nose. And these are actually popular enough that a couple of different versions were released. This is another case where we're seeing, for some reason, kids really want to play around with SpongeBob's facial protrusions. We're poking his nose in Uno, we're playing around with his nose in games, we're literally opening him up as a photo. It's just weird. But I'm sure Spongy takes it all in stride. Haha. Anyway, let's start with the original SpongeBob Plug and Play game and then move on to the sequel, the Fry Cook games. And given these Plug and Play games are quite old and quite basic, we get some very chiptune sounding music. This first plug-and-play gives us 5 different games, including Bubble Pop, Sandy's Surf Adventure, Invasion of the Hooks, Patrick and the Maze, and the Super Chum Bucket. Bubble Pop is basically a bubble bounce game, where the ball bounces around and you have to destroy all the bubbles. Sandy's Surf Adventure is basically a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, with Sandy doing a Texas shootout as she surfs the sea. Invasion of the Hooks basically has SpongeBob repeatedly saving Sandy, Squidward, Patrick, and eventually Gary and Mr. Krabs from being hooked by the fish hooks. He somehow saves them by throwing Krabby Patties at the hooks. Okay. Patrick and the Maze is basically
Also,
exactly
why are they
what
trying
it
to catch
sounds like.
Sandy?
Patrick and the others get stuck in a coral maze. So for some reason, Patrick is left responsible for the mentally challenging task of getting everyone out of the maze. Why Patrick? Either way, I like the sharp green colors of the maze, and I actually think this one holds up okay. For an old chiptune plug-and-play game anyway. And finally, we have the Super Chum Bucket, where somehow Plankton has captured Sandy, and he's using her as a bargaining chip so SpongeBob will turn over the Krabby Patty. So we play through some old school Mario Donkey Kong style platform games to face Plankton directly in his robot suit, only for him to scurry away each time. Coward. Of the 5 games, this was probably my favorite. It has some actual stakes and 40 solid levels. Our sequel plug-and-play is the Fry Cook games, except this time Spongie's plug-and-play is donned workout gear. We still control his nose,
like
though. This time you can collect awards for finishing the game, such as the Nautical Nonsense Awards.
So it's a bit like California Games.
Yeah, very similar to those old-style Olympic games we used to have in the 90s. A more modern example would be Sonic and Mario at the Olympic Games. An example of a game is Runaway Tray, where we have to jump over a bunch of hurdles while holding a tray full of Krusty Krab food. Another event we have is Air Patty, which is almost identical to the footbag event in California Games, except the ball is a patty and wears thin slightly less quickly. We also have Stack a Stack, where we have to catch the burger ingredients as they fall from the sky and build a burger
in their correct
according
order,
to
by the way.
specifications. Overall, I could see myself having more fun with these games than the not-so-fun time I had with California Games back in the 90s. I mean, that game was better than nothing, but not by much. Our next merchandise is the SpongeBob Series X Xbox. Thanks for recommending this one, Kirby fan. To promote their Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl game, Spongy had an entire series of Xbox made in his likeness. A very cool novelty, and SpongeBob's design makes him perfect for a big square console. And yeah, I can't deny I'd like one. Unfortunately, these were a very limited time giveaway. In fact, the giveaway was so limited that scalpers used bots to buy up most of them online and resell them for horrendously jacked up prices. There was an entire Reddit of people complaining about just this problem. But sadly, even at scalper prices of $1,700 US, these SpongeBob consoles sold out really quickly, because I guess there's a lot of big SpongeBob fans out there with a lot of disposable income. So yeah, obviously I have no respect for people who capitalize on desperation like this. And now, we may never see one of these lovely SpongeBob Xboxes directly, but at least it was a fun idea. And staying on the subject of consoles, let's check out the SpongeBob Game Boy. Fun fact, the Game Boy Advance SP was my favorite portable console. It was so damn compact and easy to carry. Little did I know, a SpongeBob version of the SP was available too. This thing's adorable. It even has a cute little SpongeBob face on the front. I think just having this thing would get me playing more Game Boy Advance games. Kinda makes me nostalgic for the days my hands were tiny enough to fit these Game Boy SPs. Ah well, at least my 3DS still has the compact clamshell design. And for a very strange one, we have the one-piece SpongeBob Admiral figurines. Thanks to Nightlingers on Twitter for mentioning these. Man, just look at these faces and design. These can't be licensed. AliExpress still sells them, but honestly, I don't like them very much.
So odd.
It's nothing against the One Piece anime. I just feel they look completely out of character designs for SpongeBob. This is one of those times I feel the SpongeBob crew look too intimidating and uncanny. There's just something wrong with those designs.
SpongeBob anime here on YouTube?
I just can't see Nickelodeon letting them look like this. The proportions are just wrong. But that's just me. These figurines still inspired something pretty cool.
Their bodies are not supposed to have, so it makes
inspired SpongeBob intro.
Wake up, sunshine, here we go!
Kinda reminds me of that YouTube video where SpongeBob was turned into an anime. The video is complete with some gorgeous SpongeBob One Piece artwork and SpongeBob AI voice singing.
And his dying words drove countless souls to the sea.
Either way, it's probably not the last time I feel both impressed and unnerved by this AI technology. And next up, we have a really cool one. The SpongeBob Nike Kyrie 5. There's a SpongeBob shoe? Oh, but not just SpongeBob Nikes, but Squidward Nikes. Even Sandy Nikes, adorned with a signature flower. I think the design on these is actually pretty stylish and inspired. If you're wearing SpongeBob shoes, you're kind of expecting something loud, yet they're kind of sleek and underspoken at the same time. We can see in Breezy Kick's review, the tongue has Spongy's hat, and the inside sole even has SpongeBob giving us a smile. Breezy even did us the good grace of taking the shoes out for a walk. Honestly, these shoes are delightful to me, and I would gladly wear them if they were still about. Though even if they're available, I doubt they're available in size 15 wide. And next up is SpongeBob Monopoly. Oh, of course there's a SpongeBob Monopoly. How could there not be? But what properties could we possibly buy in Bikini Bottom? Well, let's check out the board and see. And Goo Lagoon is our cheapest property, followed by Jellyfish Fields. Oh yeah, we could use them. Sorry, SpongeBob, this is my property. It'll cost you an arm and a leg to do your jellyfishing here. And of course, we have bubble taxes, which apparently cost you 200 Bikini Bottom bucks. You can also buy Mrs. Puff's boating school, the Chum Bucket, the Krusty Towers, or even Rock Bottom. Funnily enough, the two most expensive properties are SpongeBob's Pineapple House and the Krusty Krab. It's the same standard economy and rules as regular Monopoly, but personally, I find it a fun novelty to play this version of Monopoly.
Hey, we compete in Monopoly a lot, but we play it on the Switch.
Yeah, shame there's not a computer version of the SpongeBob Monopoly. Oh, next we have the SpongeBob Scrub Daddy. Well, finally we have some merchandise that actually makes sense. A non-toxic SpongeBob sponge for cleaning. It was a job SpongeBob was born to do. This Scrub Daddy supposedly has the pineapple under the sea scent. So I guess it smells like wet pineapple. But why on earth doesn't it have SpongeBob's face? When TTB mentioned this on Twitter, Caesar had the exact same response as me. But if we look on AliExpress, SpongeBob sponges do actually exist. Amazon even has SpongeBob sponge holders.
They're kind of just uniform in that
This video is showing me
stage,
so many non-essential, frivolous things I want for no reason beyond being a SpongeBob fan. And next up we have the cursed SpongeBob Burger King toys. Thanks to you and Plush Studios for showing me these ones. A lot of my community helped me to find this merchandise, and I appreciate it. It turns out SpongeBob has had his fair share of fast food promotions, and a surprising amount from Burger King. All really weird.
Crowd shouts, all the ladies stare, and those pants are square.
A lot of these toys are just creepy. Like, look at these things. What's with the guy on the top left? Or his friend with a creepy flaming tiki monster face?
That's what I said.
On the other hand, I thought the Truth or Square designs actually looked okay. They're colorful, friendly, and all the character designs feel well within the spirit of the show. Anyway, what's next?
I like square butts and I cannot lie.
And finally, we have the SpongeBob musical thermometer. And thank you to Cookie Country for mentioning this one. This may sound like they're just giving SpongeBob merchandise to anything, but I actually think this is a good idea.
Like it does
a child is probably going to be feeling pretty crook and upset if they're sick. So this thermometer plays the SpongeBob SquarePants theme as their temperature's being taken. And that could be a little comfort to a small person when they're feeling crappy. And I'm all for making people more comfortable in difficult times, particularly given where these thermometers can sometimes need to go. And I don't mean oral or underarm.
He means the booty.
Yes, the booty.
Thank you, buddy. Don't get us monetized, please. Thank you.
Are you worried about YouTube again, honey?
I mean,
can you blame us?
Me? My days here are numbered as is.
I'll always be your fan.
Thanks, honey. Thanks. Love you lots.
Want a hug?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aww.
And thanks for exploring some of these unusual SpongeBob items with me. Hopefully it gave you a little taste of Spongy's strange history as a brand. But there's seriously no limit to the amount of SpongeBob merchandise out there. So if you think I missed a weird
That's not even talking about the camp
SpongeBob.
SpongeBob. Remember?
Let me know
they're all
in the comments.
kids and they're going to camp.
As always, thanks for
Thanks
watching.
for watching.
Hope to see you next time.
Bye.
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 Today's member question is from...
Well, that happened. Well, I mean, some of them do look pretty neat, but others just like, what were they thinking? Just got nothing else to ask other than what the heck were they thinking? You know, especially with the One Piece one, just like, why? Anyway, let's just move on. We're just done. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know what you guys think. See ya.